The Cage is a narrative-based metagame. It aims to convey the message that the game developer has set NPCs in an unfreedom setting to serve the player. Generally, the player is going to interact with 4 NPCs in turn to experience their unfreedom of movement, recognition, love emotion, and vision. In the first scene, we inform that the NPC's movement is restricted by waypoints. The flag is used as a symbol of waypoints. The player's perspective will be changed so they can experience what the NPCs are suffering. What's more, as a metagame, we introduce ritual mechanics, pushing box. By restricting these mechanics through the waypoints unexpectedly, the player will deal with a difficult and lengthy process, enjoy those beautiful sceneries such NPCs can never see, so that such movement on freedom is powerfully expressed. In the second village, we criticize the fact that the developer is using tags to limit NPCs' recognition. The player can only communicate with corresponding NPCs by changing the tag. Otherwise, they don't know you at all. In order to make sure the player is aware of the change of tag, the tag is tied to NPC as a UI. To highlight the NPC's cognitive reactions, the player will have a once-in-a-lifetime to become a dog with poor eyesight, and the NPC will treat them as a dog as well. During the journey, a romantic story will be told to emphasize the developer's deprivation of NPC's love emotions. The player is going to help a confident boy to send his love and flower to the girl on the other side of the river. However, such emotions are always fixed as bugs. The only thing these NPCs can do is to act obediently according to the design and watch the player building a bridge across the river. They can never move to each other, never become a couple, and only be pleasant passerby of the player. In the last scene, an NPC is imprisoned by the game environment. He will deceive the player to move forward. Most importantly, he subjects the player to the same darkness with super challenges. The player has to fall into peace again and again and avoid being caught by starving fish. Luckily, as long as they calm down and keep going, it will inspire the NPC to renew his quest for a vision of the world. It seems that it's important to make choices to NPCs between liberate and keep serving. The player has the opportunity to understand the plight of NPCs and help them escape the world, or they can also leave them to serve. Actually, the player has no choice as everything in the world is controlled by someone behind the scene. During onboarding, he's just a common computer and a guide. As the narrative progresses, NPCs are going to reveal the name Repoloved. However, in the end, the computer will judge the player's behavior in the game and give different endings. And the player will recognize that the computer is Repoloved, who is the developer that keeps NPCs serving the player, no matter how they liberate or save NPCs. The interaction in the game is simple and consistent, so we only teach the player at the beginning, which also becomes a part of the narrative. We help the player practice moving and interacting by placing a long path in a situation where only interaction is possible. Besides, for those complex gameplay, we gradually teach the player instead of overwhelming them with information. For example, the player can learn knowledge about tags before the event happens. The tags are introduced to the player one by one, only requiring them to combine tags when they get all tags. We utilize Higgs methodology to enrich our telegraphing and feedback. For telegraphing, for example, the player will get a different dialog box warning important choices, and see clear bubbles before the fish comes out of the river. For feedback, the player can clearly see NPC's vote status and whether they successfully send a flower to the girl. Just liberate NPCs or keep them serving for the next player. Well, it's not your turn for this decision.